Hi, I'm Myron Chai, and I'm here to interview Rodney Oaks. He teaches humanities at Cal State Dominguez Hills, and he is also a music composer. Okay, the first question is, what inspired you to become a music composer?
What inspired me to become it? I
Yeah.
don't know. I started out in college as a trombone major, wanted to be a music educator, band leader probably. And as the more I studied music, the more I became fascinated with the process of composition. So when I worked on my master's degree, I emphasized composition, but I just became fascinated with the process of combination and the process of studying music. And what was it that made composition? What did composers do what they do? And in asking that question, looking at it and looking at composers, I just kind of gradually became interested in it. And that by the time I was working on my master's degree, that became my major interest. And for my master's thesis, I actually wrote a very extensive composition, a mass, a setting of a mass for orchestra, chorus, and soloists. And that's when I really became interested in composition.
And how long have you became a composer?
Well, that was 50 years ago. 50 years.
Wow, that's a long time.
That's a long time, yeah.
And have you ever joined a music group like an orchestra or band in?
Say it again.
Have you joined a
Joined?
orchestra or band in grade school, like middle school or high school?
Oh, when I was in, yes. I started playing when I was in the 5th grade, and I played an instrument called a baritone. It's a valve instrument that's in the same range as the trombone. And I played it, and I played some trombone, and I played some French horn, and I kept playing baritone. I wanted to play trombone, but I moved a lot, and every school that I went to, they needed baritone players. And when I was a freshman in high school, I started playing tuba, so I played it for a year, and then I got discouraged, and then my parents gave me a trombone my sophomore year in high school, and I played again my junior year in high school. But at that time, I got interested in jazz, so rather than playing in school groups...
You played the saxophone or something?
No, just the trombone.
Okay.
At that time, just the trombone.
Oh,
Later on, I did
okay.
everything. But at that time, just the trombone. And when I was in my last couple of years of high school, I started playing with jazz ensembles. I played with a group from Carlsbad called the Oceanside Carlsbad Progressive Jazz Club. And I played with a group in high school that we organized called the Phone Booth 5-1. That was a Dixieland group. And I really got interested in playing jazz, really jazz.
And do you have any relatives that plays a musical instrument?
No.
You're the only one?
No, my grandmother played a little bit of piano, but not very good. No, none of my family all kind of came from upstate New York, poor farmers primarily. My father worked as a welder and worked on construction, and my mother worked cleaning houses. Neither one of them knew anything about music whatsoever. They didn't even finish high school. They weren't educated. No, it wasn't part of my family. And that's what's weird, because I haven't been able to figure out why I became so interested in it, because it was not part of my background at all. Not at all. No.
And you said you perform around the world?
Yeah,
And
yes.
name some countries like in Europe.
Oh, I've given concerts of my original music for electronics and trombone, geez, in Italy, Hungary, Poland, the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union. I gave a concert in Moscow in 1984. France.
And London, United Kingdom.
Pardon? I'm thinking. I don't think I've ever done a concert in the United Kingdom. I have in Belgium. I've done Belgium, France, Italy, Poland, a lot in Poland, a lot in Hungary.
And how about, and which states in the U.S.?
In the United States? In the U.S.? Oh, geez.
A lot?
Well, Arizona, Maryland, Louisiana. These are all mostly at universities and those kinds of things, or festivals. But yeah, throughout, geez. Well, my music is played all the time. There's two different things. My music, some of the music that I play, the music that I write, but there's also a lot of music that I've written. It's being played all the time throughout the world, either on CD or in concerts. But I've actually given concerts. I don't know. Oh, as I said, and those, I can think back of Louisiana, in New York, Maryland, Arizona, a number of times in Arizona, but just all over.
And how many CDs have you recorded so far? You lost count?
I don't know.
Like about 20
Probably
or
15, probably 15,
okay.
I'm not sure. Probably about 15.
And how about this latest CD?
Yeah, that's
what
the newest
number?
one. That's the brand, it just came out a week ago, last week. It actually isn't being distributed yet, Bonescape. It's, 3 or 4 years ago, I teach at Harvard College, and there are 2 other trombone players teaching there, Lane Moore and George McMullen, and we got together and did a trombone trio, and we performed medieval music, Renaissance music, Baroque music, jazz. Well, all of us played jazz, and I wrote a whole bunch of works for 3 trombones and electronics, and we would give these in concerts. We did a number of concerts, this group did. And I decided, Lane Moore, who was one of the trombones, he was from Australia, and he moved back to Australia. And he moved back to Australia in February of 2011. So before he moved, we'd rehearsed these works, and I decided to get these guys together and to record a half a dozen of the pieces that I had written specifically for these groups. They were well rehearsed, and I came out with Bonescape. And I really like this. Brand new. Last week, it came out last week.
And who started the group?
Who
started the whole band?
I did. I did. It was called A Go-Go Bones. That's an interesting story. Well, I did. There is a group. There's a group called A Go-Go. O-G-O-G-O, and it was started in probably 1995 or 1996 by a guitarist and myself. Igor was his name, and he and I formed this group called A Go-Go. It was a very nebulous group. Sometimes it was just Igor and myself playing guitar and I playing trombone, MIDI trombone with electronics. I would play electronics and we would do this strange avant-garde music. Sometimes we'd add other musicians, and sometimes we'd play just jazz. It just was a very, very nebulous kind of a group. Igor took it on and expanded it, and he did concerts calling it Ogo without even me. And when I was doing these 3 trombone players together, Lane and George and myself, we were doing a lot of these concerts with Igor. So we decided to call it A Go-Go Bones. And then a couple of years ago, Igor died. And so, and I just kept the name A Go-Go. He died, but I kept the name A Go-Go. This is probably the last time that this name A Go-Go Bones will ever be used, because this group isn't together anymore. A Go-Go stands for, Igor used his first name. He was from Russia. He came to this country in 1991. Brilliant guitarist, composer. He was from Russia, but he only used his first name with a small I, Igor. But his last name, that very few people know, was Grigoriev. So we formed this group, A Go-Go, Oaks, Grigoriev, Oaks, Grigoriev, Oaks. A Go-Go. And so, and it was around for a good 15 years until Igor died, and this A Go-Go Bones, so we called it A Go-Go Bones, because many of the things we did with Igor. Besides, sometimes we just did it our own, and sometimes with Igor. So that's where that comes from.
And are you going to release future CDs?
More CDs?
In the future?
I don't know.
This
look,
could be the last one.
It's a lot of work. The music was written, it took a couple years to rehearse it, the music was recorded January 2011, and now it's May 2012, and it finally came out. It's a lot of work. People don't realize it, how much effort it takes. So I don't know. Right now, no, but who knows? Who knows?
And maybe you should publish on iTunes, so...
Beg your pardon?
Publish on iTunes or those music websites. Have you?
Have I?
Published?
On iTunes, yeah. This will be available on iTunes. You can download. It isn't there yet, but a lot of my stuff, a lot of my stuff you can download on iTunes already. Yeah. This will be distributed primarily with CD Baby or Amazon.com, or this is published on Nine Winds label that is owned by Vinnie Gallia, who's a very, very well-known woodwind player. And it's very, very experimental kind of music. We call it avant-garde. Much of it is improvised, but much of it is written. And it's very, it's really the thing that I probably do the best.
Okay, okay, that's it. Thank you.
Sure thing.
Thank you.